In this lesson, we'll take a closer look at representational systems and how understanding the way that they work can help you build rapport with your interviewer. Representational systems are sensory modalities by which we experience the world around us. Although scientists have studied 5 main representational systems in humans, we're going to focus on 3 of them: the visual representational system, the auditory representational system, and the kinesthetic representational system. When we refer to a person's representational system, we're really talking about the physical sense that the person feels most comfortable using to experience and describe the world. Let's take a look at each of the 3 representational systems that people use in conversation in order to better understand how they work. First, let's take a look at the visual representational system. A person who is visually based will experience and describe the world in terms of how it looks. This type of person relies on mental imagery when solving problems and relates to the world in mainly visual terms. For example, if your interviewer is heavily influenced by a visual representational system, he or she might make the following small talk at the beginning of the interview. Wasn't the weather nice this past weekend? I went to the beach and the sky was so blue and the sun was so bright and it was so nice seeing all the kids in their brightly colored swimsuits. The interviewer has told you before even starting the interview how he or she is most comfortable experiencing the world. As you answer questions, make sure to talk about how things looked. Visually based people like to hear about colors, patterns, and other things that can be seen with the eye. They also respond well to visually based metaphors. For example, I see what you're saying, or I like to keep my eye on a situation. Now let's take a look at the auditory representational system. A person who is comfortable with this sensory modality likes to experience the world in terms of what they hear. These types of people talk about sounds, rhythms, speaking, music, and so forth. In the case of a person using the auditory representational system, the small talk might sound like this. Wasn't the weather great this past weekend? I went to the beach and I just listened to the waves crashing on the shore and the seagulls screaming in the air, and it was so nice to hear the kids laughing and having a good time together. Once you recognize a person who is sound-based, talk about music, or talk about talking, or talk about what you heard. Such people also respond well to sound-based metaphors like, I hear you, or that sounds good. Finally, let's take a look at the kinesthetic representational system. People who are most comfortable with this modality like to experience the world in terms of balance, movement, and sensations of the physical body. These people talk about speed, direction, and physical activity. A person who is kinetically based will usually gesticulate when they speak, and they may even go so far as to get out of a chair in order to physically act out the scene being described. In the case of a person using the kinesthetic representational system, the small talk might sound like this. Wasn't the weather nice this past weekend? I went to the beach and the sun was so warm on my face and the sand felt so good under my feet, and it was so nice seeing the kids running and swimming in the water while the waves crashed down around them. Once you recognize a person who is kinesthetically based, talk about how things moved or how things interacted with other things. Such people also respond well to physically based metaphors like, I've got you, or I like to roll up my sleeves and get to work.